Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
I'm running this monkey farm now, Frankenstein!
This is episode 281, recorded March 2025.
Gruesome Magazine.
I feel like I blow my mic out every time I...
Oh boy, we're doing a Frankenstein movie.
My name is Jeff Mohr. This podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-hosts, Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt, and I will tackle another classic, or sometimes not so classic, film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. Joining me tonight is Crystal Cleveland, actress and YouTuber, who is just back from...
Oh, Mad Monster. Is that what you're saying?
Mad Monster.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We're going to talk
where
about
you
yeah.
hosted a celebrity?
I was handling, yes,
Handling,
Linda
okay.
Blair,
Okay.
which I probably don't need to introduce who she is, because I'm
Yeah.
sure everyone on our podcast knows who she is.
And
It was her first convention in 5 years, so it was very nice.
Excellent.
It was very busy.
No con crud or anything, right?
I thought that I might have started getting sick, but I feel okay now. I don't know.
Good.
Every time I'm like, oh God, I probably got a little something. Yeah, but no, I'm good. It was a good convention. Linda was steadily busy. That's what you want to see, so she could take care of all her doggies. So
Great.
yeah.
Great. Also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and writer and co-host of Decades for the All of Them. How you doing, Chad?
Don't forget the biggest piece of meat in the cave.
I wouldn't forget you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that guy. Anyway,
And you say demonetization?
I guess I know how you're doing. Also joining us, last but not least, is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, co-host of Decades of Horror, the 1970s, and a published author. He's got more books. Yay.
More books came in.
Yay.
Yes, just in time for RavenCon, which will be,
Yay.
I don't know by the time this is posting, but a month from when we're videotaping it or so. RavenCon in Virginia, great convention.
Ooh.
If you have a chance, go to it. You can
Yeah,
buy my book and get it
we'll-
signed in person. Hey.
Yeah.
I think this will go up the 31st, so that's time to give,
it'll be
give
fun.
people out there. And that's where at?
That is in, I think I'm going to say Roanoke, Virginia. Hope I'm right.
Oh.
Okay. Sounds cool. Okay, well, Decades of Horror and Gruesome Magazine partner with Playdown Media, and they have a lot of streaming channels, and our podcasts are on some of their streaming channels. And in fact, Decades of Horror, the 1980s, is on the Wicked Horror TV channel, Horror TV channel, but they might have that other one too. I don't know. They have a lot of subgenre type stuff. It's really pretty cool. And we have a promo code. So if you use the promo code DOH80, DOH all caps 80, and you're a first time subscriber and you sign up on their website, you can use this to get 20% off your first payment. Their monthly plan is $6.99 a month, so you'll get $1.40 off that first month. The annual plan is $50 for a year, so you would get $10 off the annual plan. So that's the way I would go if I was you. And they got a lot of nice movies there. I like them. That's what I do. When it's late at night, I don't know what to watch. I just put it on and I scroll through the Leaving Soon and pick stuff that I've
With
never
me,
seen.
when it's late at night, I just go to sleep.
Well, sometimes that happens. Anyway,
Some folks work for a living.
so yeah, not me. As a matter of fact, I'm about to round up my vacation. This will be the last California 80s podcast.
Good, because that background is boring me.
I know. I tried to put some little plants there so you didn't So it's
Oh
not.
my God, that's so sweet.
It's not just the microwave, you know. It's like across the kitchen. It doesn't matter what I do. What? Oh, geez. Glad we can see the refrigerator in the background. Oh, gee. Glad we can see the patio doors in the back. Anyway, all right.
So like a bunny in a snowstorm.
Our topic today is Day of the Dead, released in 1985. Written and directed by the one, the only George A. Romero. The cast includes Laurie Cardille, Terry Alexander, Joseph Pilato, Jarlath Conroy, Anthony DeLeo Jr., Richard Liberty, Sherman Howard, Gary Howard Clark, Ralph Morero, and John Amplis. Production company?
Mike Zatz there back in the day?
It could be. Laurel Entertainment, Inc. is the production company, and it was filmed in Pennsylvania, in Moreauville. We've heard that before. Also at the Nike missile site, and Pittsburgh. And the Wampum Mine in Wampum, Pennsylvania. But also in Florida at Sanibel Island, Fort Myers. Filming dates, 22nd of October, 1984 through January 16th, 1985. The release date, there was a New York City premiere, January 30th, 1985. The countrywide release was July 19th, 1985. And the budget, estimated to be $3.5 million. The domestic box office was $5.8 million at the time, but the worldwide gross was $34 million.
That's awesome.
It did. Excellent. Synopsis. As the world is overrun by zombies, a group of scientists and military personnel sheltering in an underground bunker in Florida must decide on how they should deal with the undead horde. And
each other.
Captain Rhodes. How do we deal with him? So this guy here in the picture is Ralph Morero, and he plays Rickles. And the whole first half of the movie, he's just jiggling his pants off, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, and
the
he
whole
reminded me of
situation
somebody.
is hilarious.
What's that?
I said the whole situation is hilarious. I mean,
You can't help but laugh. Yeah.
He reminded me of somebody. Did he remind you guys of anybody?
Every person I've ever had to sit next to on a long bus trip.
Well, there's that. Anyway, I like that guy.
I couldn't wait for him to die.
Out of him. So on, yes, that's true. And he went a little insane when he died too, didn't he? So on Decades of Horror, we start off with a few details about the film, which we just did. Move on to first impressions, and then, you know, just kind of move on down the road. And there's a bunch to talk about here, right?
Oh, yeah.
So first impressions, this was Chad's pick. So Chad, why did you pick this, and when did you first see this, and all that jazz?
I saw this in the theater, believe it or not.
Yeah,
I waited and waited and waited for this to come out. I ditched all my friends who were going out that night to the beach to get drunk and high and whatever else they were going to do. And I skipped out on them and went to see this by myself.
Wow.
And because I couldn't wait to see it. There was a time when I thought, and probably still do to a certain extent, that there's no way a zombie movie could be good unless George Romero or Tom Savini were involved in it. And that's what I thought very strongly at the time. So I couldn't wait to go see it. So from the beginning of it, just the zombies that are in the street and the newspaper that blows up against the garbage can that says "The Dead Walk." I just was like a little kid in a candy store. I remember that, and the one zombie they called Dr. Tongue, where his jaw was missing and his tongue was hanging down. I just said, "Oh man, we're really in for for a treat watching this. It did not disappoint. This is to this day one of my favorite zombie films of all time. Right there alongside Night and Dawn. This made his trilogy come, and he had a little bit bigger budget on this than he had before. So the production value on it was a little better, and the makeup effects were beyond awesome. The zombie makeup was just incredible. I just loved it. Loved this movie. And the nastier it was, the better. And this has some nasty, grotesque scenes in it. And it went on later that Romero, I think because of how good this one did, he got, I think, Universal to get behind Land of the Dead, which I think he wanted to use that premise for Day of the Dead, but he couldn't get the budget together for it with the Dead Reckoning and all that kind of stuff. But it did take place in Florida, and which is my old stomping grounds, and I like that.
Cool.
And so Sanibel Island and some of those places I used to go to a lot. And so it was a cool movie, and I'm glad I skipped out on my friends.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Good choice.
the best.
Yeah.
Glad you picked it. Crystal, how about you? When did you first see this, and what did you think?
Okay, so I'm much like everything else. I don't remember when I actually first saw it. I do know that I watched it not that many years ago again, though. And I don't know why. I don't remember what happened. I guess maybe I was just like trying to catch up on it because sometimes you forget. I this movie is so ridiculous. Like I do love this movie. Okay, obviously, but it's so ridiculous. Everything is so over dramatized with this movie. I feel like in like the best way. Some of the effects are really good too. I think like shockingly good. It's this is 85 though or something, isn't it? So
Yep.
it's kind of mid 80s. So I mean, I guess but some of it is excellent to me. Some of it I found myself laughing so much during this film. Like when the lady is like crying and then the dude is giving her a hug and she's like, "Ooh," and he's like, there's obviously she had just cut off the dude's arm, to try to save him. And she's like, and they hug just his face. He's like, I was like, what is that face for? That doesn't even make any sense. This movie's wild. I feel like it does seem like it has a high production value because, I mean, they're in like a helicopter or something at first. I mean, there's a lot that they have going on here. The acting overall, though, is pretty good. I still didn't mind it. I mean, I kind of like all of these films. I don't love zombie films in general, but it is interesting to me because I did forget about the cutting off of the arm.
Mhm.
Okay. And then obviously The Walking Dead is a lot more recent to me. And I never realized how, really The Walking Dead didn't really invent anything new. Like with the arm cutting off, there's a game in The Walking Dead and in the series too, where, you cut off a dude's arm where he got bit to try to save him. But I don't want to
almost
spoil
never
it.
works.
But yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the film is quality. It's very good. It's shockingly and surprisingly bright, and there's a lot to it that even though it's like funny in ways, there's some stuff that really mess with me. And I know it's silly, but like when the zombie has like the razor and he like cuts his skin, oh my God.
Yeah.
Little things like that. There's little things in the film that actually really get to me. And generally with like, I don't think this is meant to be a comedy, but generally with things that make me laugh, the scarier moments or little moments like that really mess with me.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. I don't know why. I mean, like when the zombies all splayed and, this is I think everyone's seen this, I would believe. Because I know I saw this as a kid. I don't remember it. And I don't remember liking it all that much. I know I liked it a lot more the last time I saw it. Actually, I really love it. I don't think I understood it. I think I just was like, okay, when I was younger. I mean, I don't dislike zombies, but they've never been my favorite. But these are really good. But like, I mean, I guess he kind of knows what he's doing, obviously.
Okay.
But yeah, so if you haven't seen it, which I know everyone out there has seen it, like seriously, come on, you got to see this movie. You can't call yourself a horror fan without seeing these.
That's right.
Come on.
And you call yourself a horror fan. That's how we'll all be treating you.
That's the thing. Thank you, Crystal. And Bill Mulligan.
Well, like Chad, I ran off to see this as soon as it came out. I took a little searching because it was released unrated, and not all theaters would show unrated movies.
Yeah.
So I ran off to see it, of course. And unlike Crystal, I am a big zombie fan. And like Chad again, there's zombie films and there's Romero zombie films. So it's like being a huge fan of a band so much that you're willing to go see cover bands and have a good time. But when you get the chance to see the real deal, you grab that chance. So of course I was gonna hell or high water. If I had to drive out to Albany to go see Day of the Dead, I would. And I was mildly disappointed, but it has grown. And I'll say this, of the big three, he made other zombie films, but I think the first three are really the ones. It's certainly not the most popular. It's certainly not the most influential, although it did make more of a profit than I thought. It didn't really make a huge blast at the box office the way the first two certainly did. And it didn't change cinema the way the first two did, but it is, I think, my favorite of the three. It's, if I can only grab one, although Night of the Living Dead will always be in my top 5 movies. Day of the Dead is just it's so entertaining. It's not without its flaws. The characters are very broadly rushed. Although Pilato is terrific as a crazy, but the problem is everyone there is crazy. So it would have been better, I think, if his craziness stood out more. But the soldiers they have, I think George Romero, he's a classic hippie type. He doesn't have a whole lot of love for cops and soldiers. And that's fine. And you could make the argument that these are probably the soldiers that would be left after all the good ones have been killed, trying to, actually keep civilization alive. The ones that are left are the ones that are left. But these guys would wash out of any military. They were awful. They weren't even good at their job, on top of being complete a-holes to everybody. And it's a little uncomfortable watching this poor woman, the only woman in this group, just being threatened with rape repeatedly. And what's even worse is she kind of just like rolls her eyes and laughs it off because this is what it's like every day. But you shouldn't analyze these things too much, I guess. Frankenstein is terrific because he's just so crazy. And Bub is fantastic. The whole movie, if the only thing this thing had going for it was Bub, that would be enough because, boy, that could have been so over the top bad. And yet it wasn't. That actor really stumbled the line between being legit scary and funny and with a lot of heart. I mean, you really felt it. He became a great character, and there wasn't a huge audience there when I saw it, but when he gave the final salute to Rhodes, everyone applauded. We were so invested in the character at that point. The zombies are great, so much better than the zombies in Dawn of the Dead. And there were reasons for that, but they look better. They look aged. And that's the look that Walking Dead definitely went to. This look that they're aged. They've been exposed to the elements. They're not rotting, but they ain't crisp. You get the feeling they smell. And a little bloated, just their teeth are going bad. They're looking pretty rough. It's a really good look. The kills are phenomenal. And even watching it just yesterday, watched it again. There was, I can't remember which one it was, but there was some little bit of special effects business in there that made me like sit up again. Like, how'd they do that? Savini was just absolutely fantastic. I don't see any seams. I know how he did some of these tricks because he wrote a couple books and showed you how he did them. And you think, well, now the magician revealed his secret. It's going to be easy to see. It's like, nope. I know that guy's got his head under the table somewhere, but danged if I can't tell where the latex begins and the skin ends. And just a fantastic job. Gushy, nasty, but fun. And
he had Nicotero and Berger, Howard Berger working with him on that.
Right. These guys were just sitting around, getting and would go on to great stuff themselves. I mean, Walking Dead has some phenomenal stuff, but of course, Walking Dead is now, the modern zombie movies are in an age where a lot of stuff does get farmed out to CGI. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. But when you're looking at Day of the Dead, you're seeing everything there is real. If it's either a real body or an animatronic or a little magician's trick, but it's real. There's no camera. There's no computer trickery. There's camera trickery, but it's the cool kind of magician trickery, and that just makes it all the more impressive. It's such a fun film. And 80s bleak. I mean, things aren't going well for humanity. There's no hope here. He gives us a happy ending, I think. Because I'm not 100% convinced that the ending we see is not a reverse of the beginning, where in the beginning she's signing a calendar and then the hands come out and it's a dream. And at the end, she's on an island paradise. Everything seems almost too good to be true. And she's marking the calendar again. And I remember thinking when I saw this, it's like, was she killed when she tried to get into the helicopter? And this is just her last thoughts. I don't know. Or it may just be that God, after showing us like a vision of absolute hell in the last few shots with the zombies, he was willing to give us that happy ending that, we didn't really get from the first two. Definitely not in the first one. And it may be a happy ending in the second one, but this one, there's a little bit of hope. What seemed to be the last three humans on Earth.
So thank you, Bill. And you guys, as always, got me thinking. So I was looking at the box office and stuff, and Dawn of the Dead, this according to IMDb, says it has a budget of about $650,000.
Yeah.
This is where it gets interesting. Ultimate movie, box office gross worldwide on IMDb says 160,000.
No.
Which is
there's
silly.
no way.
That's crazy.
You said 160 million, I would have believed it.
Ultimate movie ranking says 11 million, and Wikipedia says 66 million, but information needs sourcing. So I don't know, and I think it would be really tough to figure out how much money this makes, because how many times they go out. I saw Dawn of the Dead at a midnight movie, I think around 1980. Not entirely certain, but this one I did not see at the theater. I saw it on video rental, I think.
Well, that's the other thing too. I wonder if some of these older films, do they include videos and DVDs and everything? Because geez, Dawn of the Dead's had 11,000 different releases. If you bought just one copy, you've probably added a couple more zeros onto the paycheck there. But Dawn of the Dead made a lot of money.
I'll even argue that Dawn was the more famous of the three of the original trilogy.
Probably.
Whenever somebody mentions one of those movies, they always go to Dawn. Yeah. It's not like this isn't Dawn of the Dead. It's always Dawn. I feel like Dawn was the most well-known of the three.
Well,
I think it went so over the top compared to anything up till then, I think.
As great as Night of the Living Dead was, that was 1968, and we didn't see like an explosion of zombie movies come immediately after its success. But as soon as Dawn was out there, the Italians alone flooded the market with Dawn of the Dead ripoffs. It's what really created the zombie apocalypse genre, which is the real genre that Romero gave us. Was not the zombie genre, sort of, but the zombie apocalypse. And that to me is the one that really, really took over. So Dawn was hugely influential. And I guess that's one reason why Day wasn't as influential. It didn't break any new conceptual ground. It just did the zombie apocalypse better. The effects were better, the zombies were better, the stakes were really high, because according to Dr. Frankenstein, there's only about 600 people left in the world. And actually that may be an optimistic guess, because as far as they know, nobody's answering. They may be the last group left alive. God help us.
So back to my first impressions.
Yeah, sorry.
So I'd have to go watch the other ones again. I love Night of the Living Dead for its first, for its innovativeness and its time in culture, on how that all kind of melded together, whether he did it on purpose or not. I just love that movie. I think it's very impactful. But I think I like this better than Dawn of the Dead. I don't know. I think the effects are these are like as good as you're going to get, I think, and we see, oh my God, we see faces ripped off, heads ripped off, bodies torn apart, guts falling out, arm chopped off, fingers bit off. There's nothing that it's kind of felt like, oh, they thought of another thing to do. Chop the head in half with a shovel, and then his head's laying there upside down, and as they're running away, you see his eyes moving around. I mean, that almost, I wonder if that was in the script, or that was Savini go, hey, what if we do this? I don't know. So
I think Romero let Savini come up with all his own gags and kills. Yeah.
So that's what really gets me. It does feel like, I don't know if they were directed that way or not, but it does feel like every single person in the movie is overacting. They're over emphasizing. And that put me off the first time I saw it, but I now look forward to it. It's now fun. I mean, the Rhodes character, even the doctor, and the two nut jobs. So I'll just stop there and we'll move on. And it's one of the things we do here is we have a little bit called,
oh God, what? There you go.
Taglines with Chad.
Man, graphic.
As played by Chad his own self.
There it is.
I don't want to cover up your.
Oh, I don't know. That doesn't look like.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't look like the guy in the picture anymore.
No.
Although
he's coming back.
Like that left eye is pushing out just a little bit by that can. I don't know. Anyway,
he's coming back. We'll get him back. This doesn't look like a little thing we do. These are a lot of taglines here. All right. Taglines for Day of the Dead are as follows. The dead have waited. The day has come.
All right.
That's all right.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself for the darkest day of horror the world has ever known.
Okay. That's a bit much, but
that one
like
was
never
the one that
before.
was all over everything.
Yeah.
Generic. Now life has become a nightmare.
Okay.
Oh.
Pretty generic, but yeah.
When the dead rose from their graves. I don't even remember.
That really didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they just got bit.
They were already rose. Yeah.
Yep.
A plague that could not be stopped. I'm sorry, plague.
Oh.
I just did that to give it some spit shine there.
Yeah.
You're not reading feedback.
Oh, you saying Gregory can read them better than that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying the never mind.
Okay. The day is coming. The day is coming. The day is coming.
I don't hate it. I'm just saying it's kind of interesting because title wise, okay.
Yeah, with the
I mean,
Sure.
with
Yeah.
the increased tension
Yeah.
in your voice.
yeah.
And now I'll read the most bullshit tagline I've ever
no.
read in my entire
Wow.
Oh
life.
no,
Oh, that's a
I
bold
can't
statement.
wait.
Strictly 18.
Yeah.
What?
That's what I
know
said.
that.
Strictly 18?
Yeah.
Like
on a
18 years
UK
old?
video trailer. Yeah, apparently it was
Okay.
Jeff's just
X
effing with me.
certificate. I did not that there. That was,
Hmm.
there was enough. I just copied them, and that's what you got.
First, there was Night of the Living Dead, then Dawn of the Dead,
Mhm.
and now the darkest day of horror the world has ever known.
Okay. Well,
Which goes right into the darkest day of horror the world has ever known.
That seems like the third time we've heard that.
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Once again, the dead have their day.
Okay.
Oh, well,
Mm.
So this is
okay.
never mind. If-
First, he brought us the most frightening film ever made. Then he took his unique version of horror one step further. Now, George Romero takes us out of the night, beyond the dawn, and into the darkest day of horror the world has ever known again.
Okay, it's not a tagline. That's
Yeah.
just a fact.
That
It's
that
nice.
was
Yeah.
that was
They do.
actually in a commercial for the movie.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Which is
probably
cool.
Yeah.
those are like trailer tags.
I always like
Mm-hmm.
it when a creator becomes so identified with quality work that it's like it's John Carpenter's The Thing. It's like, oh, okay,
Oh,
then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been taglines with Chad.
Chad's our hero, cool and rad. With him reading taglines, they can't be that bad.
Lord have mercy.
Now we actually had a comment from
Ooh.
we had some feedback from a viewer / listener that
Mhm.
wanted to know who did that.
Oh, they didn't know it was me?
And I said, no, they didn't. In fact, their guess was Whitney, which Whitney has a
Oh.
beautiful voice too. So,
Yeah.
but I told him, no, Crystal wrote, sang, and produced
There you go.
that thing.
Yeah, I did.
Much to our happiness.
Get ready for some more requests for dates. And she sings too.
I did musical theater for a short stint, if you can believe it. That's embarrassing.
Why is that's not embarrassing?
Why is that embarrassing?
It's horrible. I hate singing with a passion.
But you're good at it. I hate singing because I'm terrible.
Oh,
right.
It wouldn't be the same without that song there now.
We
No, it's funny,
I love the so, that was a comment on the 70s, so that's when I'll probably read it. I probably should have read it today too, but anyway.
Oh, no.
And they were very nice about how much they liked us and how much
That's so
joy
sweet.
they get out of it. So that is very cool.
Hey.
And that's why we
So-
make Chad do it.
Here's the poster.
Yeah.
I
The
think this
poster.
is a very clever poster.
Okay, so that makes a lot more sense now, considering the poster. And it usually does, because you see the different posters. I mean, that's okay. Right, well,
Yeah, night,
Yeah.
dawn, and day.
yeah.
Although the zombies, when I first saw it, it was like, that looks more alien-esque.
Yeah,
or,
I was going to say it reminds me of like Prometheus or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
or even
Yeah.
a robot or something.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But okay, it worked. And
So I like the middle part because that's the head of the
Helicopter
zombie.
Mhm.
Yeah, which is cool. Because I had that
Oh, that's
poster on
right,
my
yeah.
wall in college.
Yeah.
I had the Dawn
no,
of the Dead
that's
poster on
the
my
sun
wall.
rising.
Well, yeah, but it could also be his head.
Yeah,
He had a big head.
No, I know what the rest of it looks like. And then we also have
Oh,
Oh,
that
Japan
is
never change.
crazy busy. Wow, I hate it. I hate it. I can't even stand like it's so busy that I'm like, I don't even know where to look. It's crazy.
In the days before Photoshop, all I got is a bunch of photographs and an X-Acto blade. I'm not even sure all those things are actually from the movie, but
speaking of effects, where the hands come out of the wall on here, the cinder block wall,
Yeah.
I rewound that and watched it. I didn't freeze frame it or anything, but I rewound that and watched that. Was watching the spots. I could not tell.
You and
that
me
was
both,
paper.
pal. I did the exact same thing because, like, okay, now that I know that harm's coming off, let me see where the seams are. Let me see where, and there's nothing.
There are none. Yeah,
it's perfectly made. That's a brilliant shot. From the workflowy, apparently the first time they shot it, the wall and all the people behind it fell on top of her.
Oh my God!
They had to redo it and make it a bit more sturdy this time.
Well, it wasn't a real cinder block wall, so that would have been
apparently not
positive. One would hope.
Well, that's a great shot. It's
is.
Great, and also her pose. You know, when she turns from it, it's dramatic, but it's cool.
It made me jump dramatic. In the theater. It made me jump.
Yeah.
I'll bet. Okay, well, let's. Any just general stuff you want to talk about, or should we just dive into?
Now let's dive into the photos
actors and stuff.
I have one thing.
Yeah,
but go ahead, Jeff.
No, well, I want to ask Bill a question because on the gore slides you had gore 1, gore 3, but there wasn't any gore 2.
Oh, I just do that to mess with you. No, I miss.
I'm just making sure.
It's like that. It's like that old prank they did in high school where they had like 3 pigs and they spray painted 1, 2, and 4 on them and then let them go in the school and they spent like a whole day looking for pig number 3.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.
In school. Okay. Chad, what was you going to talk about?
The one thing that always bothered me about this movie, and about the only thing that ever bothered me, is not for 1 second did I buy that guy as her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh, that first guy. Well, we don't know what he was like before that.
Yeah,
I kind of have an idea what he was like before that, and I'm not really sure that he might have been all that interested in girls.
He's got PTSD.
The pickings are really slow.
The pickings are
it's not like
okay.
Yeah. Did I say slim? I meant slim. Yeah, like there's not much.
I mean, who would be number 2? I guess her scientist buddy, but he's totally friend zoned. And then number 3 would probably be Frankenstein. Actually, number 3 would be Bub. It is the slimmest of slim pickings. A gal's got to do what she's got to do.
Well, you got the helicopter pilot guy.
Yeah, I don't know if
McDermott.
Yeah, McDermott.
Yeah, actually, yeah, he would have been fine. But yeah, I felt bad for that guy. Although I'm a little puzzled by his motivations. I mean, in the end, he brings death down on all of them, including his girl.
Yeah, he was an aggravating character, and for him to do something like that, I don't know. It just made no sense. If he wants to commit suicide, that's fine, but
right.
Why kill everybody in the whole? Are we allowed to say suicide anymore? It's so hard.
You can't question insanity.
He unalived himself.
Yeah, that's too TikTokish.
Death by zombie. If you were going to unalive yourself, death by zombie has got to be the worst possible choice.
Yeah. I'd go fling myself out of a coconut tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he could have actually set the. I mean, if he wanted to kill everybody, well, he was going to die anyway, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a look here. We've got George Romero.
I just put the dead stuff up here. Just
you
know, and they all have something to recommend them. I feel like Land of the Dead was what he really wanted to do with Day of the Dead. I've read the original Day of the Dead script. I prefer the finished version that he had to go to because they cut the budget in half. And I think Land of the Dead is very well, it's not close to it, but it has a lot of similarities. And I just feel like with Romero, with the zombies, less is more. Making it into a big budget thing didn't really work for me. And I guess he tried to go back to that smaller thing with Diary of the Dead and Survival of the Dead. But I don't know. The first trilogy is just solid. It has a good story. It shows the fall of civilization and the hints that maybe the zombies could evolve. I just think that's as good as
Yeah.
it gets. Land of the Dead. Big Daddy was kind of like Bub, but a little too much, a little too human for my
Well,
taste.
it was, I don't know. Usually Romero has some kind of message behind each movie. And I think, Day of the Dead kind of went back to what Dawn and Night were. People, their inability to get along and caused their demise.
Yeah.
Land of the Dead was about the downtrodden and the beaten rising up against
Right.
the rich or whatever. And I enjoyed Land, but as these films progress, Romero's trying to make these zombies smarter. To me, it seemed like, and I don't know if I buy that, because I would think they'd be so rotten. There's no way their brains could probably work. It didn't ever make sense to me. But the two final ones that he made, Diary and Survival, they get a lot of criticism for not being his best. Well, they might not be, but they were still better than your average zombie trash film that we were being offered at the time anyway. At least he was trying to tell a story in each one, and it wasn't carnage for carnage's sake. He always had something to say to go along with the zombie carnage. And I thought those two movies did exactly that. Diary, with our fascination of seeing things through camera phones. I don't know if they had them back at that time, but videoing and seeing things through other people's POV, which we're mired in so badly now. That film is more fitting now than it was then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And Survival, it was more about family, and I just really enjoyed them too. And each one is sort of a different thing, and it's a film that sort of stands on their own merit. Is Diary better than Day? No, not in the majority of the opinion, but they're still good films, and he tried to do different takes on this apocalypse with different stories, and I always appreciated that and love those two smaller films there at the end of his career there. Probably more so than the Resident Evil movie he was supposed to do. He might, from reading the script of that and what he was going to do with that would have been an awesome monster movie. And but I'm just too bad he didn't get a chance to do that. But
I think part of the problem that Romero had is that after the first two, people kept expecting that every movie he made was going to be groundbreaking. And you're lucky if you break ground once. He did it twice, which is pretty damn impressive if you ask me. And also made one of the best comic book movies ever made. So, give him a half a ground break there. They didn't have to do that. They could just tell stories. But a lot of people were going in like, this is going to revolutionize horror the way Dawn and Night of the Living Dead did. That's unrealistic. But they're all entertaining. I'd watch any one of them again. I've probably watched Dawn way more times than I need to. So that's actually at the bottom of my list right now, and it's only because I've seen it so damn many times. But whose fault is that, really?
Well, one of the criticisms that Land got was he had zombies using tools, like Big Daddy had the gun, and when they all came out of the water that time, each one of them was holding some kind of an axe or a meat cleaver or something like that. And that got a lot of criticism. But when you think back to even Night of the Living Dead, with the little girl in the basement using the trowel to kill the mother instead of just biting her to death, and the zombie at the beginning using the rock to try and break the window of the car to get Barbara, he kind of started that at the beginning, I think. But if that's what you're going to base your whole criticism of George Romero on, you're not getting the point.
He was a really good director and really stuck to his guns too. I mean, he could have just done what most do, sell out and go make studio films. He was capable of doing anything, making actors work from point A to point B, but he had long periods where nothing was being made. He had so many projects, so many unmade projects and things that started but then didn't finish. He wanted to have that independent streak, and that's why he didn't get. I mean, they're arguing $3.5 million. We'll let you make this movie for $7 million, which ain't a whole lot. But you're going to do it your way? Okay, $3.5 million, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, this is a guy who was a proven commodity. But I will say, in their defense, this was 1985, marketing a movie that's unrated, and a horror movie at that, where a lot of the audience is people who wouldn't be able to go see it. Yeah, I do get from the money standpoint, its profitability is no guarantee.
but I say that now, not being a millionaire, but I would much rather make the movie that I want to make without a lot of people behind the scenes going, we need more of this. We got to, you can think about the kids. We could sell this toy and that toy. We got to throw that in somehow. That's all BS as far as I'm concerned about filmmaking. And I'm sure that people would getting a bigger budget would jump at the chance to, but I don't, hopefully they understand what comes along with that. I'm sure George totally understood that, hey, if I want this to turn out the way I want it to, I'll have to do it for whatever money I can scrape together. And
right.
So I admired him for that.
And it looks good. It's got a small cast if you don't include the zombies. And is this true? Again, this is in the workflow. The zombie extras were paid $1, given a hat that said I was an extra in Day of the Dead, and hopefully lunch. They were paid like peanuts.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I'll bet this is more the background zombies, not the hero zombies that got to do something cool, like their brains blown out or something. Because $1 ain't much.
No,
I would have been in a George Romero movie for nothing.
Him $1. Like, yeah, why would they bother? I mean, the hat is probably cool, but why
There's
give him
probably
$1?
some legal reason why you have to.
Yeah,
pay
what's the
people
point of
something.
that? Like, it seems odd. It's weird.
Well, a lot of them are probably fans.
I'll
do anything to be in a
by then.
Romero
absolutely.
movie. Yeah.
Right.
You kidding? I'll pay you to be in a George Romero movie. Alas, we can't now.
Well, so Bill, you put this one together. What was your?
Just opening shot. Dr. Tongue, Chad mentioned. Although I wish they'd filmed him a little. That's such a great makeup, and seeing him head on doesn't give you the full effect of how he looks in profile. His entire bottom jaw is missing.
Right.
It must be an animatronic, or if it is makeup, I don't know how. Yeah, it had to be.
It's an animatronic.
It's a great effect, and
it would have been better to have him like coming out from the shadows behind one of the buildings into the sunlight where you can see. But I guess with it, I think it was only built from like the stomach up. That's all there was, so they really couldn't have him do anything other than stand there.
But it's a great intro because you see his shadow, you hear the moaning and the shuffling, and then we see this, and it's like, well, things have gone downhill. Florida looks even worse than, there's more alligators in the bank entrance than normal. And
usually there's only one. They're everywhere this morning.
All right. That's the three survivors.
Our heroes. The only likable characters in the whole movie. As they should be. Some people have criticized they didn't like her character. I thought she was pretty reasonable considering the horrible situation she's in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know this, or I did, and I totally forgot it. She is the daughter of this guy, Chili Billy from from Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, the newscaster.
Cool.
Yeah. And he was a local horror host who was in Night of the Living Dead.
That's
fun.
It's
very cool. And,
I thought she was great in this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like.
We were starting to get a lot of more of women protagonists in these kind of films, and I thought she made a really good one.
She's a very strong character, except for the one breakdown she kind of has, and that's
Understandable.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was understandable.
Yeah, if she didn't break down at that point, then she would be unlikable because she would just be like an ice princess. I mean, the trauma, you're all living on the edge. These guys could snap and do horrible things to you at any moment. And this relationship is clearly going to hell, but she's empathetic because the guy's got PTSD. He's fallen apart. And now she's got to literally chop his arm off. And in the hope that he'll live. But what are the odds that it's successful? Probably not good. Best case scenario, he's now one-armed in a world where you need like more arms than Kali to have any chance of surviving. So yeah, it's perfectly reasonable that she would have a breakdown there. But for the most part, she's smart. She's trying to do the best she can in a doomed operation, and she's surrounded by absolute madness. And her coping mechanism is to just keep on keeping on, do the job. Although really, what hope is there? Suppose she did find the cause. Is she going to be able to make a cure? Is she going to go out and, give each zombie a nasal spray injection or something? I mean, there's no bringing them back to life. You're still 400,000 to 1 outnumbered. There's no coming back. The best she could hope for is maybe keep the rest of them from becoming zombies. Although, isn't it interesting that in this movie, people don't become zombies? Frankenstein's shot, and as near as I can tell, he wasn't shot in the head. He's just sitting there dead, and yet he doesn't come back. So,
True.
is it?
I'm confused.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but since we never explained why they became zombies in the first place, there's no reason to think it wouldn't just stop. Anyway, I thought she was great.
She was.
Good,
All right,
strong
and-
female character without being a girl boss who can take on 100,000 zombies at once and not, break out a sweat or anything. She's a real human being.
I don't know. I didn't look at her. There's not much there for her bio, but she doesn't have a lot of credits. She's looks to be from Pittsburgh, born in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes sense because of her
Dad.
father.
She's now an advocate too. She wrote a book, a biography about, among other things, being abused as a child, not by her dad, but by a creepy uncle, I guess.
Ew.
And yeah, I know. But talking about overcoming that, and she seems really smart, very intelligent, and that came through with the character too. So I hope.
Yeah,
to
I
her at
see
the
that
convention
here. I'm going to
sometime.
tell an offbeat tale of survival. Well, all right. Yeah, I liked her character, and I liked that they took her through a couple of sort of incarnations in a way. Like she was tough, with the gun, with her hair up. Then when she goes to visit McDermott and John, now she's got her hair down and she's softer. She's a little more, I don't know, likable or friendly or open or something.
She doesn't laugh at their phony accents, so you gotta give her credit for that.
Yeah. Well, there is that. I wasn't going to say anything, but we'll
always after me, Lucky Charms.
So-
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
here's the guy we all
Oh,
Well,
this
well.
guy.
Joseph
Did,
Pilato.
did any of you ever get a
That's cool,
chance to
though.
meet him?
Mm-mm.
I met him at a con once.
Uh-huh.
I
Was he
can't
dialed
remember.
up to 11?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, every movie he's in, he's over the top. Just,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of guy. And
Well, remember on
Mm.
70s, we did that movie Effects
yeah.
Yes, that's right.
that
That's right.
some of Romero's proteges made on a shoestring. And he was one of the leads in it, played a pretty toned down character. But
Yeah.
in the video, there was they all got together, 30 years later or something, and we're talking about it and telling stories and stuff. And he was like that there. He was
a nice guy, though. He was.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was,
Oh, yeah,
he seemed
yeah,
like
yeah.
a great guy. I met him once at a small convention in Pennsylvania, and there was a whole bunch of Dawn of the Dead people there. and he was like the life of the party. Yeah, he seemed like a really cool guy.
The stories he was telling and everything, he would get all into, he talking more with his hands and his body than his mouth, And it was,
yeah.
I thought he was really cool.
And this is a movie where, like Crystal said, everyone's sort of acting over the top, and he is, but his character fits that. And he's actually scarier when he's not. It's the quiet moments that he's established that he's such a lunatic and so hot tempered that when like he realizes what Frankenstein's been doing, when he's just sitting, just staring at him and asking him quietly, like, what are you feeding them? And you're like, oh, you're dead, dude. You are dead. If he was just yelling and ranting, you might be able to talk your way out of it. But no, this guy, the quiet, it's over. This is death right now.
I was watching a making of this at some point or another, and they were showing the scene where he's eviscerated and pulled in half and everything, and they used real animal sheep guts and everything, and it was like the third day of using them, so they were starting to really smell bad. And he's in between takes, he's like gagging, and they had to put a rag over his mouth with cologne on it or something like that to keep him from throwing up. But as soon as they yelled cut, he went from to, oh my God, put something on my face, and they would put that over his face.
There really is nothing that looks as much like guts as actual guts.
Yeah.
So I've done that once. I did it once. And I don't know why my friend Emily still talks to me, because she said, this is going to be one take, right? Like, okay, yes. Because reaching in, it was, and we at least had the decency to put them on ice. So they weren't stinking. We could have eaten these.
These sat in a bucket in a room, probably hotter than hell in there.
Yeah.
For 3 days straight.
And it's like, am I working for George Romero or H.G. Lewis? Because this is pretty rank here.
Well,
face in the middle, man.
Choke on him.
What
a great exit line. Choke on him.
People still talk about it to this day.
Yeah.
That's their favorite line from the movie.
And once again, we get the paradox of zombies who are their muscles are so rotted and decayed that they can barely walk, can't climb a ladder, can't really do much of anything. But man, once they get a hold of you, they got that shot of undead adrenaline. They're doing things that I'm pretty sure you can't do. Like
hunger's a powerful motivator.
That's true. That's true.
I don't care how hungry.
I
don't care how hungry I am. If I was starving to death and you put me in a pasture with a cow, I am not going to be tearing off flank steaks with my bare hands, much as I would want to. But these guys,
you're not a zombie.
Yeah, that's how they like to eat. They like it raw.
Isn't that a song?
Yes.
He's going.
I don't know. That sounds
Look
crazy.
at Bill. He's sciencing again.
I like that. The middle shot though. It kind of reminds me of something from like Creepshow. I mean, that looks like such a great. Doesn't it look like a great comic book panel?
Yeah. Especially if it had like red and blue behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the reverse. It's like another version of the one with Laurie Cardell, with the hands coming out of the wall.
Yeah.
Come at her. Now we're in the point of view of the hands. And
well, that's always been kind of a Night of the Living Dead motif. The arms coming through the windows and everything. The Living Dead have always had that arm thing.
So we have this guy. How this guy ever got in charge of anything? You got me.
I love that guy.
Still in charge. Oh, I think he's great too.
He was so insane. It was just incredible.
He probably was really good at writing grants.
Do you have any food?
I'm not the type of guy that gets sick over gore. As a matter of fact, I love gore. But the scene where this guy on the table here rolls over and his guts fall out on the floor and you hear plop.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. That was amazing. Amazing effect.
And it doesn't really, except for Bub, it's hard to make any sense whatsoever of what the hell he's trying to accomplish here.
Yeah,
he's playing with his food.
Very confusing.
I tied him into a nice bow.
Yeah. So he was in Flight of the Navigator.
And
He's only got 16 acting credits. Is he another Pittsburgh?
I'm thinking so.
There's no. Oh wait, there is here.
He was in another Romero movie. I'm trying to remember which one.
Crazies. The Crazies.
The Crazies. That's right.
Mhm.
Was he the doctor who like came up with the cure, but he was great in this.
God, his birth name is Richard Liberatiscioli.
Oh.
And he made the wise choice to shorten that to Liberty. Yeah.
Final Countdown and the Crazies. That was his only other one. Yeah. Artie. He was Artie. But yeah, he's crazy. He's perfect in that whole spiel of teaching. It reminded me of Monty Python, where the guy has a recorder up his nose. You know what I'm talking about? He'd go hold his finger up, and then it would start playing music. He's like, here. All of his motions reminded me of that.
He's perfect. I mean, can you imagine spending? This is a research facility, so he's probably been there since before the apocalypse, or since right after the apocalypse started. And all he does all day is play with dead bodies, cutting them open and yanking organs out, for years now. For years, and you expect him to keep his sanity, or some kind of logical way of behavior after that. No, he's seen enough, and that's all there is for him. Right
Doesn't
now.
even notice that he's wearing a bloody shirt. He shows up for a fancy dinner with his bloody shirt. Yeah. And the way he and Rhodes, I love the play with them in the beginning, where the helicopter pilot's right. It's like he might keep him alive just because he doesn't know how to deal with them. You know, Rhodes is getting angrier and angrier, and he is just like, he's just so crazy and doesn't react to the madness of Rhodes. That Rhodes, he's a bully. He doesn't know how to handle someone who isn't afraid of him until he pushes him a little too far, I guess.
You know, I want to mention this Miguel. I think he had a picture of him here with Lori. Yeah, in the bottom picture. It says he died of AIDS like a month ago. It just says complications from COVID-19. Did I say AIDS?
You said AIDS. Yeah, you said AIDS.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I just know they have all those meds now that if you catch it, you can. Yeah.
It's almost crazy. It's almost shocking now to hear someone died of AIDS.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh God, in this day and age, like that sucks.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
According to the trivia, he stayed in character as a constantly stressed out Miguel throughout the whole of the shoot. He probably drove everybody nuts.
Oh man, yeah.
And he doesn't have a lot of acting credits, at least not in IMDb, but he did Night of the Living Dead. He was the knife zombie in the 1990 version, and he was bit part in Two Evil Eyes, and in Monkey Shines, he was the vandal, and in Night Riders, he was the corn cook. So
Romero liked working.
Romero kept him busy then.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, we kind of danced over him, but yeah. So Richard Liberty. Okay. Anything else about him? It was a great performance and a great character.
Him chastising that zombie there at the bottom had me laughing my ass off.
It's sit in the dark and think about it.
Yeah, you sit in the dark and think about it, and then zombie's like a little puppy that just got whacked in the nose with a newspaper.
And then
the one thing about his character, though, he made a big mistake. When Rhodes is arguing, what are you doing? What are you trying to accomplish? What's going on here? And he's not getting any answers. It's like the obvious answer is, listen, if we can train these things to handle guns, they can go up there and start popping zombies. A zombie army versus the zombies would be literally the only chance you have. No matter how good you are, when you're that outnumbered, you're going to get overrun and bitten, and all it takes is one bite and we lose. But if we've got our own little bunch of zombies who can go out there, be ignored by all the other zombies,
the zombie army,
we could actually win this. But he never thinks to say that. I'm thinking it because I'm thinking, hell, that sounds like a good movie. And that actually was part of the movie that Romero wanted to make, that there was this trained zombies that protected the few remaining living people. And of course, it goes horribly wrong, as the things always do. But
the bad part about that is you always have to feed them human meat.
Yeah, that is a problem.
So what are you gonna do?
Because they didn't like that delicious looking canned beef.
Mm.
So I kind of like these two guys, and I don't know if either his so the two actors, it's what are they here? Bill McDermott is played by Jarlath Conroy with the mustache, and John is played by Terry Alexander. And Terry Alexander's Jamaican accent was a little irritating at the beginning, but I don't know if I got used to it at the end of the movie or if he toned it down a little bit or something. But
yeah, he was way over the top with that accent. He's worse than me.
It's the problem whenever people do these accents that are not their actual accents, they usually fall on tropes. So if you're doing an Irish accent, it's like, oh, grab a faith of Bagoro, you know, old Danny boy. And if you're doing a Jamaican accent, I'm half expecting him to say cola nut, uncola nut, you know. Oh, that's dating me back.
That's an old
commercial.
That's an old 7-Up.
Oh, okay.
Old 7-Up commercial.
Funny.
That was a great marketing campaign.
It was.
But I like these two a lot.
Yeah,
they were fun.
Especially when she goes and sees their little
hideaway,
their house.
Yeah, she's giving him a little bit of crap because they are literally doing nothing except the bare minimum that they need to do. But and that goes against totally her reason for being and everything and her life view. But the truth is, they're absolutely right. Nothing is going to be accomplished here. They see it. And you might as well, you know, get what little enjoyment there is.
And they're just trying to stay alive.
They're just trying to stay alive. And it works.
And I don't know. I think Terry Alexander, before I say this, I better look. I think out of a lot of the people in here, I think he had a little more. Yeah, he has like 47 credits. He was in Conspiracy Theory. 1997.
Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
He seems kind of familiar, but not enough to go, I know that guy. Maybe from this movie because he's such a impact. Jarlath Conroy, well, he's got 33 credits. He was in he was the Undertaker in True Grit, the 2010.
Oh, great movie.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it was.
Movie.
All right. But I think they both do a good job. I kind of dug him. And then you have the one, the only
star.
Howard Sherman.
I really wish I'd looked up a picture of what he looks like.
Yeah.
Because he's got so much makeup on. I have an idea of what he might look like for real.
Well, his real name is Sherman Howard.
Sherman Howard, yeah.
Yeah.
He used to be played Lex Luthor.
Billed as Howard Sherman in this movie. So
he played Lex Luthor in the Superboy TV show, if you remember that.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
He played Elaine's boyfriend who used to be fat in Seinfeld.
Okay.
Remember that episode?
So he's gone on to do some cool things. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that because he's great in this. You say he really when they put the headphones on, they play the music. Yeah. That kind of hit me hard because I remember I've watched a documentary on people with Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And there was a scene where a guy who was a very good jazz trumpet player, I think it was, and he's very elderly and was just sort of sitting in the old folks' home, not really reacting, mouth kind of hanging open, not communicating very much. They put one of his own records on and he listened to it. And I'm watching this as like, I wonder if this guy had seen something like that because his reaction was just like Bub's. You literally see a light go on in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a spark there. And then they had a conversation with him and he was speaking. He was still an elderly man, but he was talking about playing the music and the jazz clubs of whatever decade it was. It was fascinating. And the idea that there's some things still, even in the zombie brain, that could be woken up. It was great. I mean, he's still a zombie. Amazing? He still wants to eat flesh for whatever joy that gives, the great taste of humans. But there's something in there, and he's if Bub is what zombies are capable of, then yeah, Land of the Dead makes perfect sense. They're infants. They've been reverted back to infancy, and now they can start learning again.
He also did pull the trigger though. Like he clearly he knew
he was a soldier.
You know.
So there is still memories of how to do things like salute and pull a trigger.
He was a soldier, right?
Well, and he knows Rhodes is a guy that is, I'm going to get some pleasure out of this. I mean, the way he salutes him after he shoots him is more of a, I don't know. I took that
That's
as in your face. Now, maybe it was just a habit.
I mean, it's actually pretty high level thinking that he recognizes Rhodes and figures out that Rhodes is most likely the person that killed his friend.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way he would know that is just from picking up on the vibes when they're together. And the one time that he sees the two of them together, that there's clearly a lot of animosity between Frankenstein and Rhodes. So yeah, Bub's got it going. I don't know what happened to him afterwards, but I'd like to hope he got himself a nice little group of zombies together. And
looks like he's done a lot of voice acting in the.
Oh, that's cool.
Batman Beyond, Chad, is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Both, it lists the movie and then it says 6 episodes. So was there a movie and a TV show? Or
there was an animated movie, and then there was a regular Saturday morning show.
Does it say what character he played?
Blight. Derek Powers and Blight. That's what it says for both of them. I assume that's a villain of some sort, or
I think so.
All Dogs Go to Heaven, The Jungle Book. I thought An American Tale.
Good.
Jumanji, the TV series. So yeah, he did a lot of that stuff. And he did some. I think he played aliens in a couple different Star Trek series, in Voyager and Deep Space Nine, at least. He's got 122 credits, so
he's got a great face for this. His mouth seems to be way too big. His eyes are gloriously sunken in. Of course, the makeup helps with that, and you know, there's a prosthetic on him, but it looks so good.
He's actually kind of distinguished looking in real
Interesting.
life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He kind of looks like a vampire in the first one for some reason to me. Kind of vampire vibes, maybe just because he looks paler.
But he did great, like the work he did with his jaw to kind of make it look inhuman, and see if there's much of a bio here. He's still kicking. Oh, in his bio it says, considered by George Romero to be one of the best zombie actors in Day of the Dead. Well, that's
nice.
Without saying,
sure.
Well, he put him on the cover of the DVD.
Yeah,
they did indeed. All right, we've got him. We've got. So I added a couple more, Bill.
All right. Okay, I should have had more of the soldiers on too.
Yeah, so I did.
There we go.
The two Goombas, and the guy on the right is the Steel, and that's Gary Howard Clark, and then Ralph Romero.
Is that the little twitchy guy?
Yeah, it's Private Rickles.
Yeah. He just reminds me of one of those, like that cartoon with the little yappy dog that has the big bulldog friend.
And it jumps over.
Yeah.
What are we going to do now, Spike? Huh? Hey, Spike, what are we going to do next?
Yes, maybe that's what it is. You know, just his giggling. I don't know. And then the fact that his name was Rickles was pretty funny. And then in the bottom picture are the other three soldiers. So the guy in the middle is Greg Nicotero. He gets shot by friendly fire, actually.
Yep.
It's put in a jar.
Was his head the one on that one table?
With the eyeballs looking around in the jar?
Yeah.
Oh,
was he in a jar?
Okay. Well, it was supposed to be his character.
Yeah.
In there.
Is the guy on the right the one who gets his head pulled off?
No, that's the guy at the top there, Rickles.
Well, Rickles gets his face pulled off.
Yeah, he's
No,
the one with the
Oh,
eye.
that's
They're
right.
ripping his eye out.
One of them gets bowling balled
Yeah,
because a
bowling
zombie
ball.
sticks his fingers
I
in his
love that one.
eyes
That one.
and
When I
pulls the
first
head.
saw it, I just about fell off because I thought it was a real head. And then they started pulling it off. I'm like, well, I don't see any way they could have done that without killing the guy. But the part I love is as it's being pulled off his body, his scream gets more and more high pitched.
Yes, yes.
Like his throat's being stretched out. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's just genius right there.
I think the guy on the right he got his throat ripped out.
Yeah, that
And
really ugly woman zombie.
Nasty.
Yeah, and he kind of spun around, and he's the one that shot Nicotero. The guy that's laying down behind him, I think, is the one that had his head ripped
The
off.
bowling ball. Okay.
And they are. I actually had these all figured out at one point. The guy laying down is Private Torres. It's Tasso and Stavrakis.
Yeah, that's Savini's right-hand guy. Helped him on his hands.
Nicotero is.
Well, Tasso used to hang around Savini all the time.
Oh, okay.
His hands are the one Betsy Palmer are coming to view in the screen when she gets her head chopped off. You'll notice the hairy knuckles and the wedding band on the hands when they come up. That's Tasso.
Cool.
That's interesting. Mask of Zero, Miami Vice movie. He's done a lot of stuff. He's got stunts, acting, additional crew. He doesn't have credits for makeup, but he must have just.
Well, he was Savini's buddy. He was just there.
Okay.
He was always there helping him out and stuff. I don't think he was a professional makeup guy.
I don't know why I should have made a slide just for Savini because he really deserves more credit than I think he's given. He is a master of gore, but it's clever gore, and he can also do monsters and really Renaissance guy when it came to practical effects. This is just such a great showcase for just great creative gory kills.
And the other guy who gets his throat ripped out is Philip Kellums. He's only got a couple of credits.
It's the little touches. Like, okay, so when the zombie gets his head cut in half with the shovel.
Yeah.
So you got the cutaway shovel. I mean, classic Savini trick. But then one more thing, they flip it off, and then as they're running away, we see the upside down head. Now it's an animatronic, and its eyes are darting around because it didn't quite destroy the brain. It got cut off at the mouth, so it's still technically alive as much as they are.
Well, then I wanted to throw this one into John Amplis.
Yeah.
Martin.
Oh my God, I didn't make that connection. Yes. Wow.
So that's in the top. Day of the Dead, he's Dr. Fisher, I believe. And then
wow, Martin grew up to be a whole lot less creepy than he was as a teenager.
Yeah.
And he plays zombies in a bunch of Romero stuff, I think. Creepshow, I think he might play one of the ghouls or something.
I think he played the grandfather in the first Happy Birthday to Me. I want my cake with you. I think he was the zombie that came up out of the grave.
Yes. And then what was he? He was a biker in Dawn of the Dead.
His character in this movie isn't given a whole lot except as a sympathetic soul for the protagonist to talk to and everything. We don't know what he's doing in his laboratory. I'm guessing playing Tetris or something, but I could identify when I saw this movie. Oh geez, when I saw this movie, I was actually in grad school. Now that I think about it, doing science. I could just imagine what it's like trying to do the impossible with crap equipment, and you can only work with what you have. This would be so hopeless, so absolutely hopeless. Like they're saying, we can't even get sterile equipment. I mean, game over. You're trying to isolate a virus, which you need top of the line equipment and everything to have any hope, and you're probably not even going to succeed at that. And these guys are no. But what else are you going to do?
True.
Father's Day. Okay. Yeah. So he's not really recognizable. You look
No,
at that bottom
at all.
picture, and that's like what, 77, 78, or is that earlier?
It was around about that time.
77.
I'll be honest, he actually looks like one of the people that I was going to school with in grad school at the time. I don't remember thinking that, but looking at it now, it's like, oh man, he really reminds me of those guys. That's what we all look like. Little white lab coats. Look at us. We're almost doctors.
And here's some gore, right?
Yeah.
I love this one. The brain.
Yeah.
Just the brain and the spine. And
Now again, I believe that is a
It was
actual
a cool concept, really.
human torso with the
Yeah,
head.
because the way it
ducked-
moved, because it moved
Yeah.
its hand,
With
when
the
they
head
did
ducked
the
under, but-
electrical. Yeah, I feel like it too, but how? I don't know.
So about the top picture, Bill?
Yeah. I think that's a real person with their head
That's what I was thinking
deep
too,
on,
Bill.
in a hole on the table, and you just put some stuff on it to.
Oh, but what if, Bill? What if that is like a hollow shell and actually it's only the arm?
Could be,
And they're just doing like that, because see how there's
Yeah.
like I know I see
I do
there's
see
like
a
little-
stitching.
I
like
do see a
stitching.
little bit of a
There.
line there, but I don't know if
Yeah.
that's
It's like
a line,
stitching.
or it may just be a blood trail too. It's hard to tell. I'll have to examine it again. I remember
It looks
watching
like
it
it's
carefully
supposed to
this
be
time,
stitching or
and I just
something.
like, wow, man, I can't get
Yeah,
edges
how
like
was it
that to
done?
save my life. And I'm not Tom Savini.
That bottom
Right.
picture, though, man.
Oh,
Holy
just
smokes.
all that stuff spilling out there and the wetness.
What a great effect.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you've got some more. You got one more of the gore.
There we
Oh, yeah.
go. There's
Looks so good.
got my eye on you.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's Rickles.
Yep.
Getting the eye, and then of course the top where Rhodes is getting ripped apart, and he's yelling, "Choke on it, choke on it." And he
Zombies
does too.
do
He
like-
makes his voice gets raspier the second time he says it, because they pull him apart.
Yeah.
That's just some great stuff. And
And then we get every the first three. There's always that scene where, and to me, it's like the closest to what I imagine hell would be like when we just cut to the zombies. The zombies have taken over, and we just slowly pan the camera along, and it's red and moans, and the dead are eating flesh, and it's just like, well, Dante never imagined anything half this bad. It's great.
Well, there's the one scene where it's after the carnage, and the zombies are sort of going their own way, and they're dragging body parts
Yeah.
down the hallway after all
yeah.
the carnage has been done.
They're in their happy place.
Yeah.
I think it might be Rickles that the guy bites his fingers off too, doesn't he? One of them. That somebody
Wasn't
bites
laughing
his
then.
fingers off. So there's the
I love
Dead
that.
Walk.
and
I
that
think it's
newspaper
great.
that was great too when that blew up. The Dead Walk.
I wanted to blow this up so I could see what the other headlines were. Did they continue with that, or is it just a fake headline and everything else is there's a sale at Penny's?
Yeah. What else are you going to write about in the paper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In other news,
Really? It would be. Oh God. Now I don't see him in there. One of the ones I got a big kick out of was the football player.
the football player.
Yeah.
And there's a clown. Is this the first
Yeah.
clown zombie?
And actually, the clown, I think that's the guy from Spookies.
Oh,
Oh, that got eaten by the spider lady.
Yeah, let me look here. Starts with an
I will
I.
say
There
the
it
one
is.
thing-
Peter ISL. Oh no, he's the elevator zombie, Tip O'Neill zombie.
Tip O'Neill.
in it.
I'm not a big fan of the zombies in their costumes. Like, here's the drum majorette or whatever. And apparently, what's the scenario where she's in a marching band and the zombies attack and she tries to run, but she doesn't think to take her hat off, or, probably still has
Yeah.
the trombone. It's like, okay, I guess. I mean, maybe the wedding one girl in a wedding dress. But you know what? If I wander around Sanford right now, well, it's late now, but on a typical Sanford day, and I wander around, I'm just going to see a bunch of people, much like myself, wearing shirts and pants, and that's it. I don't see a football player in his uniform. I don't run across a drum majorette. God help me if I see a clown. I'm just running in the other direction. But in zombie movies, almost everyone is like, I'm a
Well,
zombie.
you could get bit by a zombie at a football game, right?
That's true. Or maybe he was a little smarter than the rest. It's like, yeah, the zombies are running and I've got to abandon my house. At least let me put a helmet on. Okay, actually, that would be the smartest guy in a typical zombie movie.
I think. Let's see, is that the first one or
some kind of armor?
That's the second one. Yeah. Just zombies, marching band zombie. Well,
I also like how
the football game.
Not everyone gets the walk right. Some of them are doing Frankenstein, and it's Glenn Strange Frankenstein too.
Anyway,
Choke on him was ad-libbed by Rhodes or by Pilato.
Oh wow,
they were doing
good call.
That, yeah.
Good call.
I did want to mention because we know Tom Savini and Greg Nicotero, and who went on to help found KNB Graphics, but also Howard Berger, who is the B in KNB, was here, and Everett Burrell, who has quite a career. The people that had their names were listed on the screen, okay, as special effects. It said by Tom Savini, but then it listed 6 guys, and it was Howard Berger, Everett Burrell, David Kindlon, Mike Trcic, Trcic, and John Vulich. And I know that those guys have worked with.
Vulich worked with Savini on the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Okay, well, he also worked with Ralph on some stuff for MMI. Our buddy Ralph Miller. I'm pretty sure.
Oh wow, cool.
Pretty sure, like From Beyond and the Dolls. So anyway, these guys went on, and had good careers, and so it's not surprising that they did great work here, I guess. So
yeah,
Savini had them. Well, anything else we want? What else? Final comments?
Another interesting thing I found out is the scene where Miguel slaps Laurie Caudill's character. She told him, "Really slap me." That's why that looks so real.
I mean, yeah.
He slapped
I had a slap scene, and I was like, "Slap me."
Oh, that would be so hard to do.
Not like those slap offs that they have now.
Oh yeah, not like change your whole
slap the yarn out of you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is
a classic.
Movie. Yeah, it is.
Thanks for picking it, Chad.
Good pick, Chad.
Yeah, it's an awesome movie. I love it. Glad you guys like watching it again.
I don't want to short it or anything. It's just think it's great fun.
Well, 10 years we'll cover it again.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah.
We do have some feedback.
Oh, feedback.
Okay.
We got feedback.
We do indeed. Prince of Darkness. Let's see. Where do we start? Chad, Prince of Darkness 174 from Travis McDonald.
Travis says, I absolutely love Prince of Darkness. After The Thing and Escape from New York, it's my favorite John Carpenter film. Halloween will always be his prized poodle, but Prince of Darkness is the silly Labrador wearing a bandana that winds up winning your affection. The film is odd and requires several viewings to appreciate, but the atmosphere is so creepy, and I like how the characters all seem vulnerable. No one character really sticks out, and that adds to the dark tone of the film. On a side note, how cool would it have been if that arm being pulled through the mirror was Darkness from Legend? Oh, when the mind wanders. I thought the same thing when I first saw it. I was going, that'll be so cool. But it turns out, no. In regards to the character of Brian, played by Jameson Parker, who Crystal refers to as Douchey McDoucherton, He and his Simon and Simon co-star Gerald McRaney, who is also a douchey McDoucherton, started a year prior to Prince of Darkness in a forgotten action flick, American Justice, where the two of them are police officers in an Arizona town near the Mexican border. McRaney is the heavy in this one, and Parker is the naive good guy. The two have an altercation near the end where one Simon blows the other Simon away with a laser sight shotgun. Do you really need a laser sight on a shotgun?
That's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Interesting.
I never saw Simon and Simon the same after this. Pointless trivia, but to paraphrase Sheriff Whitell from The Devil's Rejects, my knowledge of bullshit is endless. Best wishes to all.
It sounds familiar, Travis. We got lots of useless information stuck in my brain that's never coming out.
Welcome to our world.
Best wishes to you. And Travis follows that up with a comment on episode 251, Slaughterhouse. Let's see, where are we going? Crystal?
Yes, saw this turd many years ago. If they had just made the VHS box and 86'd a movie, it would be a masterpiece. Okay, if you don't know what 86 is, if you worked in the restaurant business, which I waited tables, 86, just for anyone out there who doesn't know, it's like, it means get rid of or not have, like 86 of tomatoes. So just so you know, sorry, I feel like it might require that for people who don't know. Yeah, despite my not liking the film, I appreciate the trip down memory lane. Yes.
Crystal, he said turd. Now's the time where you should play the Crystal going, poop, poop, poop. I like poop.
Yeah, I forgot about.
Well, we'll never let you forget it.
I think I don't know. It must be over on the other license here. So turd, huh? That's the only movie that I was out here in California when we did it, and I drove like 30 miles up in the mountains to see where it was filmed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's your fault.
I'm
not
sorry.
ours.
For a turd. I kind of liked it. I thought it was interesting. The low budget stuff is pretty out there, but anyway.
I remember getting seeing the pictures and going, my friend is in need of some help.
Yeah.
All right, episode 279, Inferno. Bill Mulligan from Robert Baker.
Robert Baker says, first time I saw this, I felt it was all over the place. It wasn't Suspiria, that was sure. But over the years, I've researched it several times, and I think it definitely gets better with repeated views. I think the visuals are great, and it does feel ambitious, even for Argento.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I agree.
No,
Thank you. I really liked it too. Yep.
And now to episode 280 that I think just came out 2 days ago.
Wow.
Twilight Zone, the movie, also from Travis McDonald. He must be catching up here a little bit.
Yeah.
Chad.
Travis goes on to say, Twilight Zone, the movie, brings back so many memories for me. I saw the teaser trailer in the theater when I was young and found it haunting, but didn't get to see it until it hit cable. It was a staple on HBO back then, and I watched it several times. The opening scene with the monster traumatized me, ranking right up there with the woman turning into the android in Superman 3 as scenes that long haunted me. I agree with the crew that Kick the Can was too sappy, and a twist ending with Scatman Crothers actually being evil would have been great. Yeah, I still say he should have
That
conjured
would have been cool.
a hellhole to suck up all those little children.
Yeah.
Crystal is spot on in that you don't watch horror to get happy stories. If a ghoulie pops out of the toilet, you don't need giving cleaning tips and advising a diet higher in fruits and veggies versus spicy food to make bathroom visits better. But the film overall is solid. Cannot watch it without thinking of the tragedy that has long surrounded it. But Twilight Zone, the movie, is a solid effort. In regards to Vic Morrow, my dad loved the show Combat, and that was my introduction to him. Great actor, and such a tragedy what happened to him and those two kids. The Twilight Zone could have been his comeback film as he was doing some low-budget stuff prior. His last completed film was 1990, The Bronx Warriors, an Italian ripoff of The Warriors and Escape from New York. Obviously, going from that to a project tied to Spielberg showed that better things were on the horizon, but was sadly not meant to be. Great review as always. And to commenters asking Crystal out, you can't blame them. As Bill stated, she's pretty and red-haired.
Yeah.
That's exactly how he said it, too.
Yeah.
She's pretty, and she
And
got
red
red hair. But she's also funny, has a great sense of humor, and she's a lover of horror and poop. Best wishes.
So now I know that I am completely associated with poop.
Yeah.
That's not the worst thing, Crystal.
All your stalkers
Not
are
worse.
like keeping notes. Doesn't like ice cream, does like poop.
I sent you some of my poop in the mail.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
put enough postage on it, and it
Now,
came
just
back
stop
returned to
that. Just
sender.
stop that.
Oh,
Ted.
don't
Yeah,
give
I'm
him
like,
ideas.
I know.
Thank you, Travis.
Okay.
Oh,
Now, this is interesting. Also from on Twilight Zone, the movie, from Jesse Diaz. Crystal?
somewhere in a lonely hotel room, there's a guy starting to realize that eternal fate has turned its back on him. It's 2 a.m.
And
You are
next up
entering
is
the
Renee.
Twilight Zone.
VHS.
Yeah. That's the guy. That's the guy who sent the letter saying, "Do you think
Yeah.
Crystal would go out with me?" And he's just now beginning to realize ain't gonna happen.
I love that. That's so funny.
Thanks, Jesse.
Oh wait. Is that what? Oh, wait.
Is it?
no,
I don't know. That's what I.
I
That's
don't
where
know,
my
but
mind
that
went.
actually, that's actually, I thought he was just doing a Twilight Zone like intro. Oh, and realized eternal fate has turned its back on him.
It's
Dear
2
God.
a.m.
But you know what, Bill?
I'll go.
Bill,
I'll check it out. I'll check it out. While you
Sure.
guys, um,
Bill,
Bill,
I'm
when
like,
you want to
I'm
read
gonna
the
go
one
cry
from
now.
No
Renee,
pretty and
VHS.
red-haired girl for Mungo. Okay.
She's pretty and got red
Red
hair.
hair.
She likes to
That's a
kiki.
trifecta.
Well, the poop
Yeah.
would make it a trifecta.
That poop makes it a
I'm
trifecta.
ruined.
From my friend Renee. I think this is Renee. My friend
Hey,
Renee.
Renee.
Every Renee's
She
my friend.
changed it. VHS, yeah.
VHS. Oh yeah. And talking about Twilight Zone the movie, I remember seeing this as a kid too. The first 2 episodes were pretty lost on me, but I distinctly recall being horrified by Anthony's mouthless sister and getting scared by my own shadow as
Yeah.
I walked to bed that night.
Mhm.
I'm with Bill. The first one was a hot mess. The second and third were fine, but a bit too far from the originals for me. The fourth really saved the day. That said, I'm pretty biased. I love the original series, the way those people that marry cars love cars. I hope to God they never try to make it again.
That's fun.
I'm so glad Crystal noticed the scene where the guy carries off the little kid. I assumed he was going to throw her out the window because she was a terrible ventriloquist. All ventriloquists
Oh.
should be thrown out windows.
Yeah.
Another fun fact, Rod Serling's wife had a little cameo in the beginning of episode 4 when Lithgow is in the bathroom. Oh,
Oh yeah. What?
that's cool.
Wait. Yeah. Yeah. I do remember
Well,
something
thanks for
about
that, Renee.
Yes. Thanks, Renee.
Yeah, and I checked it out. The person who wanted us to ask Crystal out for him was Oik.5.
Ah. Okay. Phew.
Was it
Phew.
Jesse Diaz?
So
But actually,
Jesse is just doing an intro for Twilight Zone, which
yeah, it just
Makes
made
sense.
it kind of
okay.
seem to fit.
Bill had to make it weird.
Well,
All right.
I was like, he gave a whole new perspective. I was like, wow, that's
So now, Chad, we've got one from Jose about Twilight Zone,
Jose.
the movie.
Our good buddy Jose says, I think I first saw this one on that antiquated and definitely not lamented format known as CED.
wait,
I-
what's CED?
I don't remember that at all.
They have shots
Yeah, what
for it now. It's probably why you never heard of it. Remember that
Yeah.
clunker? A whole world of skipping, stuttery images and sound. I've never heard of CED.
I'm gonna have to look it
Yeah.
up, but yeah, there were a lot of
Well, I
things that
heard of
didn't work.
So I heard of something else I'd never heard of either. If you watch Yellow Jackets, they said there was something on like a DAT. I don't know what a DAT is.
DAT.
It's like a tape. Yeah.
A DAT I've heard
Weird.
of. I've heard of a DAT,
Okay.
yeah.
I think it's just audio though, but yeah.
Yeah.
CED?
I haven't seen it in probably 40 years, but the You Want to See Something Really Scary envelope segment. Yep, it's part of pop culture now. The only segment I remember well is It's a Good Life, and it was mostly because of that shot where we see the girl watching cartoons on TV, and she has no mouth.
Boy, that really traumatized people.
Yeah,
me too.
that
Yep.
freaked me. That part freaked you out when you had that big, sloppy, nasty bunny coming out of that hat.
Well,
That's
that
what
too.
scared me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know the Twilight
Okay,
Zone
I
in
got it.
Spanish.
CED is capacitance electronic disc, an analog video disc playback system developed by RCA.
Only Jose would know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute. So this was like when laser discs came out, the big giant discs with movies. Yeah, there was
a different version
format,
of it, right?
and it was
By a
terrible.
different-
You're right.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
now I do remember it.
Huh,
All right.
okay.
I don't
That's
know.
crazy.
Did we finish that? Oh, we got to
No,
get to the.
No, if you'd pay attention, you'd know if we finished it or not.
I was looking up CED.
Yeah, okay.
For a
Shows where your
timely
mind's
reference.
at during the show.
Timely
Nobody
reference.
really cared about CED. We were just feigning concern or
I
interest.
did.
Okay. I know the Twilight Zone in Spanish as La Dimensión Desconocida, the unknown dimension, but this may refer only to the TV series.
Okay, so I looked all this other stuff up.
Oh, geez.
No, really?
So it's like two different things.
I went down a
Yeah.
rabbit hole. So the
Uh-oh.
movie, if you remember, was Al Filo de la Realidad, On the Edge of Reality. That was in Mexico. In Spain, it was En los Límites de la Realidad, At the Edge of Reality. The TV series, indeed, in Mexico and Spain, was what he said it was, La Dimensión Desconocida, the Twilight Dimension. And then that made me fall into the German for the Twilight, for the TV show, Geschichten, die nicht zu erklären sind.
Ooh,
Stories that cannot be explained.
tripped off the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Unglaubliche Geschichten, incredible stories, or Unwahrscheinliche Geschichten, unlikely stories. And then, this is even cooler, in the Netherlands, it was Tweeduster,
I like that. That's fun.
which they said in the, it was like Twilight, only darker. And it was a local, a regional usage in the eastern province of the Netherlands called overrun. And
Who
now,
says we don't educate
right.
while we entertain?
yeah, or bore the hell out of everybody. I don't know, but you know,
What's
you
German
flip
for
my
that?
you flip my switch, Jose. So I had to.
You know,
I
if I
started
was ever
scrolling down at these and just started running into all the different German ones. Anyway, Bill.
there's a lot of people talking about maybe I want to move to another country or something, but do your research and ask yourself, do I really want to move to a country that has like 11 words for the time between twilight and actual darkness?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's like when you hear, we've got 50
Twilight,
words for
a lot.
snow to describe the color of snow. It's like, wow, this sounds
Well, not
way
only
too
that,
snowy.
It takes unwahrscheinliche is unlikely.
So tune in next week for another episode of El Stinkten Inframachten.
Of the languages with too many syllables. Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. We appreciate all the comments. Who else
Yes,
do we have?
this
Jose,
was awesome.
Renee. It's great to hear from you, Renee.
yeah.
Yep.
Jesse
Yes.
Diaz, Travis McDonald, Robert Baker. We appreciate that. There's plenty of ways to stay in touch. Please leave comments on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel, or you can send us email feedbacks to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, or just leave comments on the Gruesome Magazine's H&R and DOH podcast Facebook group. We love to hear comments. We love your experiences with the movie. We love people bringing things up that maybe we didn't talk about that they know. It's always interesting. So please do that. That's it for this episode, but every 2 weeks We'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up, we tackle one chosen by Jeff, me, The Monster Squad, 1987.
Oh, yay!
He still has his mind. Yeah.
I needed something a little lighthearted, so there you go.
I
From
love Monster
Brad
Squad.
Decker
This man's got
and
nards.
Shane Black was co-writer. It's on Prime, Freevee, Hoopla, and some pay-per-views. So,
as far as I'm concerned, this is the only Goonies that matters.
Aha.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
That
I did like
sounds
Goonies, though. That was a cute
interesting to
movie.
me. So,
You've seen Monster Squad, right, Jeff?
I have not.
What?
Okay, so that's why he's like, that sounds interesting. I'm like, wait, hold on a second.
Say what?
Holy moly.
There are so many 80s movies I haven't seen.
I'm shocked you haven't seen
good.
Monster Squad.
It's got a
my
great
God.
Dracula. It's got the second
does.
best Gill Man ever, and I think probably the best
So
mummy
much
that's ever been
fun.
done.
I've got to rethink my whole existence after hearing
Yeah.
I
that.
know it kind of messed me up. I'm not gonna lie. Wow.
All right. I don't know what comes next. Oh, thank you all. Thanks to Grue Believers. Thanks to Chad, Bill, and Crystal. Say
Yeah,
good
sure,
night,
sure.
everybody.
Good
Night,
night.
everyone.
Good night, Spike.
Gruesome Magazine.